Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Sex Advent Calendar, 25 days of sex education all through the month of December. I am so excited to have my friend and colleague, Dr. Melanie Davis, with me today. So our topic is sex and aging, and Dr. Davis is really an expert on this topic. She is part of the Unitarian Universalist Association and is just finished a project working on Our Whole Lives, which is a sexuality curriculum, and created one specifically for people over the age of 50, which is going to be out next year. I cannot wait to see what that looks like.
This is so exciting to be part of your Advent calendar. I'm excited, so thank you. So I have a couple points that I'd like to share with your viewers. And the first is that everybody of any age has a right to celebrate their sexuality. And that doesn't stop when we reach older age. And what those of us in the field of sexuality and aging want to do is to help older adults enjoy their sexuality without fear of shame or judgment from other people, whether it be judgment about what their behaviors should be, what kinds of relationships they have, or even what kind of sexual orientation or gender expression they have. Another point is that people who are sexually satisfied prior to older age tend to continue being sexually satisfied into advanced older age. And there are a couple of reasons for this. One is that we know our bodies better the older we get. We know how they work. We know how to adapt as they change. So if the knees go out, or the back goes out, or erections wax or wane or refuse to come about, if we're comfortable in our own skin, we can adapt to those changes. We generally know how to communicate better with partners because we've either been with partners where we didn't work things out, or we've been with partners that we've figured out the kind of communication that works with us. And another important part of satisfaction in older age is that we become more forgiving of our own body differences and our partners. So what might have been driven, a 23-year-old to get Botox injections to avoid getting wrinkles, once you've got them, very often we can be forgiving of our own sags and bags and wrinkles and the changes in a partner's body as well. Another thing that I would hope that your viewers would take away from this is understanding that we do have a lot of age-related physiological changes to deal with. People tend to think of changes in estrogen and testosterone in the body. So those are things that affect erections, vaginal lubrication, desire, this testosterone in our bodies, whatever our gender is, we all have at least a little of it. That's this zest for life and this vim and vigor. And as that declines, often so does the speed of our arousal. But it doesn't mean that we can't get turned on. It just means that people of all genders may need more direct contact, more prolonged contact and stimulation, more preparation up here for so that we have desire still when our bodies might be tired. There are also a lot of physiological changes that benefit from medical interventions. And these can range from estrogen, topical estrogen, or estrogen or progesterone patches that can go on the skin. There's oral hormones that can be taken. Testosterone injections can help people who need a little bit more that vim and vigor, and also erectile. The strength of erections changes when testosterone is injected for people with penises. And those are things that you always want to talk to your doctor about, not only for those kinds of solutions for sexual pleasure, but also because changes in sexual function can also indicate health problems. So if someone who's used to getting an erect penis is suddenly unable to get an erect penis, that could indicate cardiovascular problems. It could indicate diabetes. It could indicate depression.
The rule of thumb I always use with folks is that if it's an abrupt onset symptom, that it's likely something psychological, but if it's a slow progressive onset, then it's probably pointing to a long-term physical issue like cardiovascular health, things like that. So definitely.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is, nobody likes to talk about cognitive changes. When somebody finds themselves or their older loved one is having some cognitive changes, there can be assumptions that, well, if you can't be as intellectually sound as you used to be, then maybe you can't make sexual decisions for yourself. So often what happens is people enter into long-term care and their adult children just want them to have no sex life at all. The new way of thinking about that is that it's not the adult children who should be making sexual decisions for their parents, because they carry this baggage of, I don't want to see my parents having sex. I don't want to think about them doing that. Or if my parent is ill enough to be in long-term care, or why are we even talking about them having a sex life? The new thinking is that it's the daily care team in the long-term facility that really knows this person, that really knows who's coming and going in their life, what agitates them, what leaves them peaceful and happy. And so they should really be part of the decision making about whether someone is competent to consent. One of the analogies that a professor in Kansas taught me, Gail Apple-Dahl, has written a wonderful book called Sexuality and Long-Term Care. And she said, if you have a resident who can indicate somehow a preference for tomato soup versus chicken soup, they can express consent because they don't want the turkey, they don't want the tomato soup, and they are happy with the chicken soup. So that on some level, they're communicating to you, either because they're peaceful or they're smiling or whatever. So why can't we use that same standard for people who are interested in sexual expression, whether it's by themselves or with a partner? One part of the work that I do is working with these facilities to create policies on sexual expression. And that's part of it. Who are the people that are going to be trained in understanding these new ways of looking at consent?
That's marvelous. So if you had maybe one quick piece of advice on two levels, one to younger folks about what we can sort of take from the perspective of sex and aging, what would it be? And then on the counterpart to that, what is one thing that you would say to older folks who are listening in about what they can do to sort of take steps to reinvigorate their sex life or take the next step in that journey?
Sure. For younger people, I would say don't be afraid of aging. Being older can be a really rewarding part of your life, of your sex life, because of the comfort, because of the acceptance. In some cases, because of a long-term partnership. So you have a level of intimacy that you just wouldn't get from a casual hookup. Not that there's anything wrong with casual hookups at any point in life, but that one thing that people who are in long-term relationships can look forward to is growing sexually. That it's not like when you're in your 20s, you've invented everything that you're ever going to understand. There's a reason things like BDSM are growing in popularity for older folks. It doesn't require particular kinds of equipment on our bodies to work a certain way. It's much more about what's going on in here, and that can be exciting for a lot of people to explore. So don't be afraid of aging. For the older viewers, I would say also, you have a right not to be sexually expressive if you want. There's increasing pressure to take drugs, to make erections happen, to use suppositories of estrogen to make lubrication happen, and to date and do all these things. People need to understand that they have autonomy, and it's okay if you're just like, I'm done that. I'm done with that. I have a sexual body, and I'm going to explore my sensuality in other ways. Maybe I enjoy a good glass of wine. Maybe I enjoy hiking in the outdoors and feeling the sun on my face. It doesn't have to be sex acts if you don't want them to be. And also, though, if you want to be sexually expressive, either by yourself or with partners, there are lots of ways to make that enjoyable. And sex education helps. Talking to your healthcare provider can help. Talking to your family members can help. For example, if you're suddenly your adult children move back home and that's infringing on your right to have dates over, you can set up some rules about how the family's going to work, and maybe you get every Friday night to yourself, and the kids and the grandkids and the kids are out of the house. So there's a lot that can still be wonderfully enjoyable and rewarding about sex in older age.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. There's so much meat in there around boundaries and deciding what feels right for you personally and negotiating that with all of the systems we're involved with. Oh, well, thank you so much. This has been fabulous. I'm so grateful to have your expertise here for our viewers. For anyone that wants more of Dr. Davis, you should check out their website, and there will be a link below. And you should definitely keep tuning in for more of the Sex Advent Calendar. We have videos coming at you all month. Thank you so
I can't wait to see them.